Hey guys, this is going to be my January wrap-up and February TBR, where I go through the books that I read in January and tell you really briefly what I thought about them, and then go through the books that I'm planning to read in February. And I read 8 books in January, which is pretty great. The first book I read in January was Poetics by Aristotle, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It's Aristotle. I don't think I really need to talk about it so much. The second book I read in January was Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen, which I also gave 5 out of 5 stars. This was one of my favorite Sarah Dessen books ever. It's probably tied with This Lullaby now, at least, which is my old favorite. And and the dust jacket is at home, by the way, because I left it there when I came to school, and I've gotten something on the cover. I don't even know what it is, but I don't know if this one or This Lullaby is my favorite anymore, but I feel conflicted because This Lullaby has been my favorite for so long. But I loved this book. On my Kindle, I read Haven by A.R. Ivanovich, which was a book I got for review from NetGalley, and I loved it too. Also gave it 5 out of 5 stars. These 2 books together were such a great way to start off the new year, because I talked about a lot in my book survey from last year about how I felt kind of like down with fiction. I read a lot of really great nonfiction in 2015, but I didn't feel like I'd read as much good fiction, and so starting off the new year with these 2 books that I both gave 5 out of 5 stars and loved both was great. However, Haven was also breaking one of my rules for myself, which was that I wasn't going to start any new series because I was in the middle of too many, but the 4 books for this series were all on NetGalley, and I downloaded all 4 of them, so I gave myself permission, and I'm so glad I did because it was so good. It had me completely hooked on the series, as you will see in a minute. Then I read Household Workers Unite, the Untold Story of African American Women Who Built a Movement by Pramila Nadesan, and I really hope I said her name right. But I also gave this 5 out of 5 stars, so January was a really good month. I won this book from Goodreads, a Goodreads giveaway, and I loved it as well. I think it's such a great thing to focus a book on because this aspect of our history in the civil rights movement is given so little attention because you have like intersectionality and primarily Black women, also Hispanic women and everything, and hearing about a movement that I never even learned about, even though I was aware to some degree about like a lot of these issues, was really, really nice, and I really enjoyed it. Then also on my Kindle was another book I got for review, which was Democracy in Black: How Race Still Enslaves the American Soul by Eddie S. Glaude Jr., which I gave 5 out of 5 stars as well. This book gets rather political and things because it talks, like, a huge point of the book is talking about Black Americans, like, politically and things like that, like what kind of different political beliefs are common, and I don't know if I'm stating this well, but just stating like how Blacks typically have voted, and then talking about like Black Lives Matter and all of the like newer movements and comparing the new movements to the like old civil rights movement and things like that. So it's a very political book, and I know that there are plenty of people out there who would disagree with a lot of stuff that the author said, but I really loved the book. And again, just like this book, I think it's a very importantly, it covers very important issues and things like that, and things that people will need to be aware of. And then I read Chasing Mona Lisa by Trisha Goyer and Mike Yorkie, which kind of brought down the month a bit because I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. It's not a bad book really, which is why I gave it 2 stars instead of 1 star. Typically with 2-star books, it's like I can see how other people would like this, but it's not for me. at all, whereas like 1-star books I think are terrible, and I don't think anyone would like them most of the time. There might be exceptions to that if I went back and looked, but anyway, I can see how other people would really like this. For me, I just felt like nothing happened. Like, it's supposed to be like a thriller book, and like it involves spies and everything, yet I felt like nothing happened. So yeah, I just wasn't that excited about it. And then I finished Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. The dust jacket for this book is also at home. I've been reading this for, I think, since December. Or no, did I start reading it over Thanksgiving break? I think I began it over Thanksgiving break. Either way, I finished it in January and finished my Harry Potter reread, which was awesome because it'd been a while since I'd reread the series. And obviously I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It already had 5 out of 5 stars. And then I finished the Heath Anthology of American Literature by Paul Lauter, or edited by Paul Lauter. This is volume D. I had been reading this very slowly for God knows how many months. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It's like, I mean, it's a literature anthology. Those are always kind of hard to rate because I don't know what I'm actually rating, but I gave it 5 out of 5 stars anyway. That was all of the books that I finished in January. I'm gonna move into my TBR, but the first book on my TBR I have actually finished. I finished it on February 1st, and so I'm gonna save it for my February wrap up and not talk about it much. But it was Paper Glass by A.R. Ivanovich, which is the second War of Princes books, the sequel to Haven. And like I said, I'm gonna stay quiet about what I thought. I already have my review up. I wrote my review the day I read the book, which is the first time I've done that in I don't even know how long. I don't even know if I've ever done it, to be completely honest. So if that tells you anything about how I felt about the book, you can go read that. The link to my blog will be in the description. But yeah, I'll talk more about it at the end of the month. I'm gonna go ahead and list 5 more books that I want to read this month, but I don't know because 2 of the books, well, you'll see in a minute what 2 of the books are. So I don't know if I'll get through these 5 books. I know I usually do, but I don't know this month. It kind of depends. I don't know how quickly I'm going to read some of these, so we'll see. But the first book that I am currently reading right now is The Witches by Stacy Schiff, which is about the Salem witch trials. This is another book that I got from Goodreads, and I find the Salem witch trials fascinating. I think it's even more fascinating because of how little we know about it, and how still to this day we don't really understand all of the factors that led to it. Not in I think there's something supernatural going on here, but people have theories about there was some sort of disease. I personally think that it goes back to the kind of older idea of hysteria in women, because of the oppressive nature of society, which is especially true for Puritans. And I think the girls thinking that they're bewitched goes back to that, and then it blew up. But yeah, it's really, really interesting to read about. So I'm really enjoying this so far, and the author got in a Harry Potter reference, which I very much appreciated. And then I'm going to read Monarch, which is the 3rd War of Princes book, because I'm going to try and get through those as soon as possible because I really want to read the rest of them. And then, to see what I'm talking about, the next book on my TBR is the Longman Anthology of British Literature. This is volume IB, the early modern period. I have 3 of these because I needed all 3 of them for one of my British literature classes. I think it was junior year, so just last year. I needed all 3 of them, and I went back and reread one of them since my class. I don't really know if I can see reread. I did not read the whole thing like cover to cover for my class. But this is an even thicker one. I don't know how long this is going to take me. I do want, as opposed to the Heath anthology and how many months that took me to read, I do want to try and read this in this month. But I don't know if it'll happen. I'll have to wait and see. The next book on my TBR after I finish this is going to be Last Land, which is the 4th War of Princes book. So I'm going to try and use that as my encouragement. Like, I'll read this quicker if I know that when I finish it, I will get to read the 4th book. And I don't know if that's the last book in the series. It's the last one I have, though. So hopefully that will be some encouragement. And then once I read that, I have the volume I see, The Restoration in the 18th Century, which is not as thick. And that's going to be the last book on my TBR this month, but I don't know if I'll be able to get through this. We will see. I think that is all, so I will see you guys later. Bye.